Well, you start off with how you said that the biggest issue is energy. Just tell me that, and then I'll explain.
You're kind of jumping into conversation halfway through, but I was talking about how the main issue with people is energy. If you're stressed out, like, just think of this. If you had infinite energy to do stuff, then would that solve all of your issues? And the answer is probably yes. I mean, if you had infinite energy,
infinite mental clarity, you never got tired, you never had to like eat, you were never like hangry, you just had clean, nice, good feeling energy. Like, you basically just felt good all the time, and you had a ton of mental energy. It would basically solve all your problems. I mean, almost all of your problems come from the fact that you just don't have enough energy to deal with them. You don't have enough mental energy to have difficult conversations with your wife or kids. You don't have enough mental energy to have a difficult conversation with your boss. You don't have enough
mental energy to go to the gym, to actually, like, you don't have enough energy to earn enough money to buy the food that would give you the energy that you need
to earn the money. Yeah. You don't like have,
if you're stressed out about time, it's because you don't have the energy to work hard enough to actually do it. And you have to manage the little energy that you do have, which creates this need for like optimization and forming good habits, and like these systems I've been talking about with time management. And what is time management besides energy management? Because of a lack of energy. So you have to focus on where energy is leaving the system and how it's coming into the system. But what was that? What was the thing that you were talking about with
well, I think optimization is always necessary, because Jigoro Kano, founder of judo, said the fundamental principle of judo is the most efficient application of energy towards the completion of a goal. And I agree that that is a principle that we should always be using, because energy is scarce. But even that principle, it still highlights the fact that the amount of energy available is the most important variable, basically. And even in judo, which this comes from, the bigger, stronger, more energetic person, provided comparable technique, will pretty much always win. I mean, if comparable technique, will always win. The bigger, stronger, more energetic person, whoever has access to more energy. And pretty much all strategy, all thinking is merely a means of allocated limited energy. So we're really just constantly dealing with this limited energy. I mean, the real issue, though, I would say that, like, yeah, I mean, we don't have infinite energy, no, so what?
The optimization of, you're talking about optimizing?
Well, just give me a second. So, like, because I don't want people to get the idea that, like, we're saying that people need infinite energy.
No.
Because that's not possible. You're never going to have infinite energy. I mean, energy is infinite, but, like, it doesn't make sense.
It's a way of phrasing it so that you understand that all issues can be put in terms of energy.
Actually, I want to just get to one point. So, actually, I'd say the issue with energy is when you do not have enough energy to both sustain yourself, like keep yourself alive in the state you're in or healthier, and simultaneously think about how you can use the energy you have to most efficiently accomplish your goal. That's the problem people are in, is basically where all of their energy goes towards simply sustaining themselves, and therefore they don't have any time left to, or energy left in that time, to really get a bird's eye view of their life and start to actually strategize in a way that would allow them to get out of that system where, again, all of their waking energy goes to survival. And I think that's basically, in some sense, the definition of slavery. If all of your waking energy, all of your productive energy goes towards surviving, and you do not have any productive energy left to optimize your energy output further, then you're just stuck in this cycle of slavery. So in this real sense, we kind of concluded that pretty much everyone's issue to some degree is energy based. Like, people do not have enough energy to optimize their lives to then get enough energy. You can almost think about it like a plane taking off. Like, a plane needs a certain amount of speed to take off, and once the plane has taken off, the plane can fly wherever it wants to. Basically, the way I see everyone is that we live in a society, people who are all driving their planes down the highway, and no one has, the plane's too heavy to take off, they've loaded the plane with too much to take off, and basically people are just kind of like no one's flying their plane anywhere. No one's actually using their plane or their brain or their life to the capacity it could be used for. They're kind of just getting by, and then we set our kids up to just get by and so on. So this kind of gave me this whole idea of, this is really the whole point of Week to Warrior, is basically this idea that for the past, since Moses basically, we've been optimizing human life per calorie. Like how many human beings can you sustain with the caloric output of the society? And let me carry that because it seems like it's burning your forearm.
It is.
But basically though, so basically like how many slaves, how many workers, how much people can you sustain with the calories you're outputting? And in this system, the quality of the calories is not very much considered because we don't value people for their potential. We value them for their ability to be a cog in the machine. And maybe there's a degree to which we don't want people's mitochondria to work, but I propose that instead of optimizing for the number of people we can keep alive, we optimize for the basically mitochondrial output per calorie. Like how can we actually get people into a state where their mitochondria are working, the mitochondria in their brains are working so they can think, their body is working so their hormones are working, they feel good, and they can use their creative productive energy to build systems to sustain themselves, to build systems to sustain other people, to build systems to help people, to have conversations that are difficult, to really just build a better world. And I look at it like, why is the world not better? And it basically seems to be that. It seems to be this lack of optimizing for energy output and more basically optimizing for human work hours. I'd say that's actually what we're doing. We're optimizing for work hours, not actual creative output. And a good example of that is like if you work for a company that cares more about you showing up on time and leaving at a certain time than the actual amount of work that you get done for the company, which is all of them basically, then you're in that sort of a system, and basically everyone is. And the real question is why? I mean, why don't we see that this is really just a diminished existence for everyone? That people, I think people need to adopt, they need to decide for themselves that they're going to optimize for their own output, because if people just keep on doing what everyone else is doing, like, let me put it this way, like, it's going to be an individual thing, because if you get promoted at a company, they're going to expect you to do what they do, which is going to be this whole work till you die thing. I mean, if you just look at like what kills people, it's cancer, heart disease, obesity, it's all these preventable things that come from the fact that people have low metabolisms, i.e. low mitochondrial output, like I just said, and they work themselves to death in a state of low mitochondrial output. So first what people do is they cripple themselves.
No energy after work to actually work out, and then come home and sit on the couch. So
yeah, and it's just like, and it's like literally like, first what people do is they cripple themselves, they cripple their mitochondria, they cripple their brain's ability to actually work, and then they try to force themselves through stress to output work hours in this state, and then they have to compensate with more work hours, more stress, and so on and so on. I mean, like, I even see it in my own father right now. Like, he has cancer, and he's kind of falling down, like losing energy, like he's losing sensation in his fingertips. First he went on B vitamins like I recommended him to, and that really helped. And then now he's continuing treatment, and he's going on the drugs they have recommended him to go on, and those are killing his energy and making him feel worse. But he doesn't have the mental energy to realize that, so therefore he just keeps on going until eventually he's so mentally effed that he's just going to do whatever the doctors tell him, which will probably kill him. Good thing he has me to prevent that from happening. I will just jump in and kidnap him and stop that, because like hell, I'm going to allow that to happen to my father. But anyway, the main point is that people basically, and even those doctors are in tons of debt, and they're just working their asses off just to be able to like keep their jobs so that they can like maintain their crazy output so they don't get fired. They're not doing all the latest research on whatever. They're just doing what they got to do to keep their jobs. It's just the whole thing, the whole way down. How you really look at it. And I mean, let's really get into it. The whole scientific revolution was created by royalty after the Enlightenment, because royalty had the time to actually sit down and do scientific study. They were educated so they could do it, and no one was working them to death. So they basically were like, oh, let's like inquire into the fundamental laws of alchemy, which then became chemistry and created the entire modern world. Before I finish and let Jason add to this beautiful rant, there's this guy, I forget his name, I think it might be Rory McDonald, but he said that people can lose years trying to save hours. And the basic idea is that you're so focused on optimizing your day that you never give yourself enough time to just sit down and reflect on what you're doing. So basically you just spend years and decades of your life doing something suboptimal and never questioning it. which is everyone's life.
I also refer to that as studying tea leaves, where you're so caught up in doing work that you'll study tea leaves to try to extract meaning from it instead of sitting down and thinking about the bigger picture, because studying tea leaves is work. So
Yeah, let's give an example. So we made a landing page for Sleep Minerals, and landing page doing well, everything's going well, but we were like, let's get a higher converting landing page. So we were going to install a heat map and start analyzing like everything on the landing page. And then he had the idea. He was like, let's just not do this. It's like literally studying tea leaves. Like, who honestly cares what people do on the landing page? They go to the landing page, they either buy it or they don't. We know that's plenty of information.
Yeah. No, it's like taking an AI model like ChatGPT and having it study tea leaves to get useful information for the future. It's like, I don't know how useful that would actually be. And it's probably gonna be a huge waste of energy.
I think business meetings are like from what I've heard, most business meetings are a great example of studying tea leaves. Like people like going over, like I just love this line of the 4-Hour Work Week where someone's like, hey man, I'd love to have a conversation with you about how to optimize my life, but so busy, gotta go call 18 prospects who already said no 3 times. like if that's not the epitome of the modern world, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So really, I don't know, go back to your point about energy though, and how like you kind of realized that this was all like an energy issue and not some other problem, because I think that struck you very poignantly, and maybe that would strike our viewers just as poignantly if you walked them through your train of thought.
All right, so my thought on that is I know some people who they have anxiety and they're worried and they allow this worry to consume them, and they are focused on like, they just want to like lower this worry. And why is that like an energy issue? It's because you have energy inputs to the system, energy outputs to the system, and these people are focused highly on the energy outputs and trying to eliminate those because their stress, like the stress is the energy output, and that is the solution. That they're like, okay, well, let's just get rid of all the outputs on the system. Okay, well, that's part of the picture. Why don't we also look at what your energy inputs are? How much sleep are you getting per night? How much exercise are you doing? How much meditation are you doing? How much of all these other areas
a good point, actually.
are you actually doing?
This is a useful piece of information. You need to walk and be physically active for your mitochondria to be healthy. If you do not walk every day, your mitochondria will not be healthy, regardless of what else you do.
So it's kind of just the idea of, yes, lowering your stress levels is a good thing to do, but you need to first see the larger picture and make sure you're also getting enough energy in through these other means, because maybe you're just at too low of an energy state itself, and focusing all your effort on keeping the little bit of energy you do have isn't actually what you should be doing. Instead, you should be focusing on tapping in to this giant reservoir of energy that you could have. And when you finally tap into that giant reservoir of energy, then the small bit of energy you're losing due to the anxiety wouldn't actually, like...
Let's put it in tangible terms so it's not woo-woo. Yeah. Your mitochondria aren't working right now, which is what's causing the majority of the physical discomfort and mental discomfort you feel on a moment-to-moment basis. Like right now, I'm talking to you. Probably got some anxiety and stuff going on, depression, nausea, your body's tired, you don't want to move, you want to be in bed, you wish you had more coffee, you want to drink alcohol, whatever it is. That's mitochondrially rooted. If your mitochondria are working, you would not feel that way. So, this is how you do it. You have money right now. Let's say you got $500 in the bank. You can go take that $500, you go blow it on booze, you could blow it on porn, you could blow it on whatever the hell you want. Or, you could save all of it, you could just hold that $500 and let it lose all its money due to inflation. Or you could input that energy back into the system. You could say, I'm just gonna go buy a ribeye and I'm gonna get some like really high quality green tea. And you just drink green tea and you eat ribeye and you on a ketogenic diet because you've probably never done that in your life. And now your body is operating in a whole new state with tons more energy because all the byproducts from carb metabolism actually help ketogenic metabolism, whereas they're hurting you when you're keeping a carb metabolism. So you switch over, you do it for a month, clear up your body, your mitochondria are popping. Go check out Dr. Mercola's book, Fat for Fuel, if you want a really good scientific book that explains exactly what I'm talking about. And you optimize your mitochondria, you feel great. You could do, with $500, you could go out to dinner, out to a club and poison yourself and get some porn and get whatever. Or $500, you could save it and lose all your money due to inflation. Or you could invest in ribeye and green tea, and in a month from now, you could feel like a whole new man. Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know how long $500 is gonna last you if you're buying ribeye, but basically that's the point, is that if you reinvest that energy into yourself, then you will have more energy and you can go get more energy. You know what I'm saying? But if you just save that money, now you're depressed, you're not buying food. You're like this guy I met in college who was like,
Slow down, dude. If you walk a little bit behind me, then it's easier.
he was like 120 pounds, like 6 foot, really emaciated. He had Yeezys on. I was like, yo, dude, like, why are you wearing Yeezys and 120 pounds? I just asked him that. It was really weird. And he was like, well, I only eat rice and beans so I can afford to buy Yeezys for clout. And at first I thought clout was probably his pimp or something. That clout would like beat him and stuff, so like he couldn't like buy food. But then I found out that clout was this thing he made up in his head about how people are gonna think he's cool if he starves himself to get Yeezys. That's a dysfunctional system. His mitochondria are not working. He seemed like he was not there when I was talking to him. He's not gonna get a job, not gonna get any opportunities. No woman is gonna wanna mate with him or sleep with him. He is gonna have a hard time because he is investing his money and his energy into Yeezys for clout instead of buying real food so he could like live.
Yeah. And the point I want to make is examine if you're always worried about the outputs and minimizing the energy outputs, minimizing like, oh man, like I can't do this, like I'm stressed, and you get rid of the stress and all this stuff, I would just look at what energy inputs you're actually putting into the system. And if you're always exhausted, instead of trying to be less exhausted, I mean, I guess this is being less exhausted, but like actually look at what energy inputs you're doing, because you might be trying to save a very teeny amount of energy when in reality, if you just switched your focus to getting more energy, it would make the problem go away. So I don't know, not trying to solve the problem on the same level that it's created, because you can't really do that. You have to move up to a higher level in order to solve it. The same thinking that caused the issue is not going to be capable of solving it. You have to change the thinking.
And I basically think that what the issue that we've created in our modern society is an issue of basically where we look at like work hours. Like we want to say like how much you're working. Like this culture is obsessed with working yourself to death. No one needs to argue that. If you argue that, then you're, I don't know, maybe you're a Rastafarian in Jamaica and you're not a part of this culture then or something. But basically though, the culture in this country is just work yourself to death. You can speak more about European culture, but I think the United States really embodies the most Europeans at the moment. We get into that, it's kind of Nietzsche's point, Beyond Good and Evil, but which is a great book, by the way. But basically though, we're just optimizing for basically slavery. Like we have this idea that working hard is good. Like you gotta work hard. And like, I agree, it is necessary to have the ability to work hard. But if you are constantly working hard, why? I mean, why aren't you sitting down saying, hey, I mean, if you're really doing something worthwhile, at the very least, you could take the money you're making and you could hire people to do the mindless labor. There's plenty of people out there. Here's a great example of people who could hire people for less than their hourly to do stuff that's currently eating up like 40% of their time, but they don't do it because they need to save money. Why? I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense. If your time is worth this amount of money per hour, then at the very least, you could pay someone half that, free up a few hours, sleep more, and now you're gonna have more energy for those hours you're getting paid 50, 60, 100 bucks an hour for. So now you could go say, hey boss, you know how I was getting paid 50 bucks an hour last month and I got done X? Well, I got done 2X this month. I want $78 an hour, and the boss man's gonna either be like yes or no, but either way, you can go get a job with someone else because you already lined that stuff up because you have energy, because you're sleeping, because you're not just doing stuff that you could hire someone to do for half your hourly. It's kind of satanic actually to hire people to do yourself what you could hire someone else do for less than half your hourly. Like you're basically saying that I need to kill myself to prevent someone less fortunate than me from making a living. It's fucking insane.
Anyways,
I don't want to swear. I want it to be a family-friendly channel. Show it to your kids.
Yeah.
Warriors. Woo.
Action to take. Write down your energy inputs and your energy outputs, and really look at those and see if you're trying to cut back on the outputs when there's way more inputs that you should actually be doing. So examine your life. Don't be numb to this. Don't be like, actually look at your life and analyze how it's being lived.
Resist the slave mind.
Okay, peace out.